Hello, Calling Up community. I'm Claudia Alec, and I hope you are all staying as safe as possible during these troubling times. Today, I come to talk to you about digital harassment via Zoom. And also, just to share with you some of the ways I've thought about helping to make my spaces, both analog, physical, actual spaces, as well as digital spaces, just a little less vulnerable to attack. So currently right now, everybody is using, and they are using the Zoom platform a lot. It's super accessible, and I'm one of the folks that was singing the praises of Zoom and telling everybody to use Zoom years ago, although right now I'm telling everyone, use GoToMeeting. Use a different platform. In the meantime, we've got people who are Zoombombing. So this vector for organized harassment, it happens this way. Generally, someone will schedule their online gathering, and they will post online, we're gathering at this time, click on this link, and then you'll be able to access our space. I'm going to post a link to a newspaper article that talks about a group of African-American folks, I believe they were professors at Princeton, possibly. They were doing a storytelling circle with children. And a white supremacist joined the call and said a bunch of nasty expletives and was being harassing. Okay. So let's go to an analog example of that happening. So when I was producing the Martin Luther King Day celebration, we did our big celebration that we ended it in an outdoor public space on the plaza. And during my last one that I produced, we were circled by a truck who circled us several times and then screamed nasty expletives out of the window. They did not like that we were gathering creatively to celebrate ourselves and a healthy community and being anti-racist and anti-white supremacist. They didn't like that, so they decided to interrupt, disrupt, and harass us. Now, of course, they weren't able to interrupt or harass us very well because we had our stage set up with lots of people. It would have required a lot of work on their part to get in there. So what did they do? They made a loud noise outside of our space. We were never having issues with people entering the physical space where we did a production. And I think that's because we had a lot of volunteers managing the doors. So you didn't enter the space unless you belonged there. But there was an entry point for anyone to enter. But the ways you could participate in the space, it would have been very difficult to run up to the stage and grab a microphone and disrupt in that way. We planned these celebrations through an open planning process. So I would have a meeting at the same time every single week in the same location. And in theory, anyone and everyone was invited to join the meeting. If anyone asked, can I join the planning meeting? The answer was always yes. Sometimes people would be there for a meeting. Sometimes people would be there for multiple meetings. The space itself, while we did advertise that anyone can join this meeting, it was a space that was a little difficult to find. You had to know the directions for going through the plaza and around the buildings to get to where I was holding our meetings. Also, this was when I was working at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival and had access to corporate space. It was professional space with a locked door that you needed a code or a passkey to get into. So that meant to get into the meeting, you had to knock on the door, and we had to let you in. Now, I say all of these analog stories so we can transition to meeting in digital space. Now, in Zoom, you have the ability to go in and go into it through your browser, and you can set levels of permission. Go into the advanced section. You're going to set levels of permission for can someone share their screen or can only the facilitator share their screen. As you, the facilitator, do you have the ability to mute someone and not allow them to unmute themselves? What are your abilities as a facilitator? As a facilitator, you can have someone muted upon entry. So they can't just enter your space and be loud and disruptive. They're actually automatically muted, and then you have to unmute them. You can set it up so that the person can't even enter your space. They enter a waiting room where you then go and go, hi, I've just vetted you. Come on into the main space. There are ways you can set up your Zoom meeting so that it is less vulnerable to attack. But as with all of our digital spaces, and alas, all of our physical spaces, when we are gathering together, especially when we are gathering together to do something positive and anti-racist, white supremacist trolls will attack and try to disrupt and try to interrupt and harass us into not doing it anymore. So, my calling up community, keep organizing. Possibly you're going to want to set up your Zoom so that people have to register before they can get into your Zoom event. Possibly you're going to want to possibly not post the location of your Zoom event in the public space and force people to fill out a Google form before they can actually get that Zoom invite sent to them directly. Also, it just might be that you want to stay vigilant and be ready to mute a troll. In the meantime, thank you so much for calling up community. Stay safe, wash your hands, and I look forward to gathering with you in physical space once again. But in the meantime, it is a pleasure having our conversations in the DMs and all over the internet. All right, bye.